Be live in 3, 2, 1.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Arizona Jenkins. I'm the chair of the ADA Committee. And we're going to do a roll call. You want to do
Committee Chair Jenkins,
me? Yeah.
Committee Chair Levy, Committee Chair LeBou, or Committee Member.
Present?
Committee Member Poncho. Committee Member Velasquez indicated her absence. Committee Member Williams
Yes, present.
and Committee Member Wazorek. You do have a physical quorum, sir.
Thank you. Thank you. We're going to move the agenda around a little bit. We're going to go to celebration for Gloria Mills. Oh, one thing I forgot. I got to do the pledge of allegiance. I'm not at that. I'm new at this thing. Forgive me. So this flag, I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America. To the republic, to the which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So maybe see it. And so we're going to do a sign for Gloria.
Thank you, Mr. Jenkins. It is with heavy heart that I announce the passing of one of our esteemed members, Gloria Mills, a profound loss. Gloria was dedicated and an active member in our committee since before 2008, serving as its chair for many years. Her contributions, insights, and commitment to improving accessibility and transit were invaluable and left a lasting impact in our efforts. We extend the deepest sympathies to Gloria Mills' family and friends during this difficult time. As a committee, we mourn the loss of a remarkable individual who dedicated herself to advocacy and accessibility and positively impacting the many lives in Hillsborough County. Gloria's absence will profoundly be felt within our organization and the broader community. Let's unite in a moment of silence to honor Gloria's memory and reflect on her immense contributions to our committee and to our cause of accessibility.
Okay. So, Gloria Mills was a good friend of mine. We'll be missed very, very much. So thank you, Gloria, for all the hard work you did. You will never be forgotten. Okay, well now we're gonna go to public comment. Do we have any public comment on this? We have 3 minutes for public comment.
There was nobody pre-registered, Chair, for public input, and I did not know of anybody present who wanted to provide public input.
All right, nobody online? Okay. We want to go to one thing.
Mr. Justin Leffler is going to do his presentation.
And then we're going to go to
She's not here yet.
the presentation.
Yes, we're going to do the presentation.
All right. Who has the presentation? Thank you.
Mr. Justin Leffler is going to do the presentation since we don't have a quorum.
We do have a quorum.
Oh, we do? Okay.
We do have a quorum to move on to our election of 2 committee members, if you would like to.
You can do the elections because we already have a quorum, so you can do the, we're going to do the election of the 2 committee members. And
All right, we're gonna do election of the committee. Everybody read the different committee that want to be on the board.
And I'll read the instructions, Mr. Jenkins.
Go ahead.
Thank you very much. The ADA Accessibility Committee is seeking interest residents of Hillsborough County to fulfill 2 vacancies previously held by Ms. Sandra Seidel and Ms. Gloria Mills. All applications were previously sent to the committee for review and were included in the package, along with a summary and cover page outlining articles, and the articles and the bylaws. The committee action for today's meeting is for the committee to vote for 2 applicants to join the committee as members. When staff calls the committee member's name, please state your top 2 choices from the list of the candidates. Staff will then tabulate the results and either name the 2 members with the majority or indicate a tie for a second vote. Are there any questions from the committee about the election process?
Nope. Okay, we go ahead.
Staff, please proceed with the voting.
Thank you, Ms. Green. Committee Chair Jenkins,
I have, help me pronounce some names.
You want me to give them names?
Yeah, what's the name of that?
Diane Luz and Mary Gutierrez?
Yeah. Diane Luce. And what was it?
Mario Gutierrez?
Marla Legate.
thank you, Chair. Committee Member Wazorek,
Marian Guizdala and Diane Luce.
thank you, ma'am. Committee Member Levy does not appear to be present. Committee Member Lebu,
Marian Gustala and David Corredor.
thank you, ma'am. Committee Member Pancho,
Marian Gonzala and Henry Stells.
yes, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. And Committee Member Williams,
Diane Luce and William Stewart.
okay. So it does appear that we have 2 members with 3 votes each as the highest votes, and that is Mr. Marian Guazdala and Miss Diane Luce. So we would need a motion from the committee to affirm those 2 selections or appointments to this committee.
Motion to move forward with the recommendation of Marian Gonzala and Diane Luce.
I second the recommendation.
Okay, I'll go ahead and proceed with the roll call vote. Committee Chair Jenkins,
Yay.
Committee Member Wazorek,
Yes.
Committee Member Levy. Would you like to vote on the 2 appointments to the committee? Okay.
You need a minute?
Committee Member Lebu,
Yes.
Committee Member Pancho,
Yes.
Committee Member Williams.
Yes. Chair, may I, would you like me to repeat the motion for purposes of committee member leaving?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Motion to nominate Marian Guazala and Diane Lutz, who both have 3 recommendations, and they are the top recommended to move forward for the committee.
I second that.
Thank you. Committee Chair, you do have a unanimous vote, and we are prepared for them to join the dais if that is okay with you.
Yes.
Thank you. So if, I believe Mr. Guazdala is here, if Miss Diane Luce is also present, you may come forward to the dais and join the committee.
I just want to remind the new candidate while they're coming up that the purpose of this meeting is to help HART do better work and deliver for the people. We not here to complain. We're here to help.
Committee Chair, the next order of business would be the approval of the minutes.
Okay.
You're welcome.
Do I have a motion to approve the minutes?
I motion to approve the minutes.
Have a second?
I second.
Any nays? Any discussion? So for. You wanna go back down to number, the presentation?
Number 7?
Yeah, the presentation. All right, who had the presentation?
Yes, Mr. Justin Lafler will present.
He is with,
He's from HART. He is our budget.
what about, okay,
He's our budget manager.
all right.
Good afternoon to the HADA Committee. My name is Justin Lafler, Director of Budgets and Grants. This is a presentation on the proposed operating capital budget for HART. After budget deliberations over the next month, the final budget will be presented to the board in a public hearing on September 25th, 2023 for final approval. HART is required to adopt a balanced budget every year. This year, the budget in its current form is $107,505,335. This is a decrease of $6,803,775, or about 6%. The slide shows the expected revenue sources for HART. In 2024, HART will have exhausted COVID relief funding, utilizing $18,029,345. For this fiscal year, HART will contribute $19,704,633 to the reserves to offset the decrease in funding for next year. The bulk of the HART expenses are from salaries and wages that account for about 72% of HART's overall budget. Other expenses of note are contract services at $9,899,461, parts and supplies $6 million, insurance costs $3 million, fuel and oil nearly $5 million, administrative other costs at $1.1 million, administrative contract services $2.1 million, legal services $800,000, utilities $1.1 million, marketing and printing $297,000, taxes and fees at $264,000. This slide represents the 5-year capital plan. In 2024, the proposed budget is $50,460,986. And then in fiscal year 25, the capital plan is for $79,364,141. In 26, $73,191,729. 27, capital plan is $63,782,000. In 28, the capital plan is $32,862,000 for a 5-year capital plan of $299 million. The current year capital plan summary, again, budgets have to be balanced. These are the revenues that we have slated for this fiscal year. This mostly includes federal and state grants. And then we have our categories for this year for our projects. And in those projects, we have rolling stock and maintenance at $22 million, facilities and constructions $4 million, technology $14 million, planning and studies at $500,000, bus stops and shelters at $3.2 million, safety and security at $182,000, maintenance equipment at $145,000. Here's the capital detail. So for vehicles and maintenance, the projects that we have is replacement of 40-foot diesel buses with CNG buses at $12 million. Streetcar vehicle maintenance and parts, $850,000. Engines and transmission replacements, $3.3 million. Replacement of paratransit and flex vans, $1.6 million. Bus midlife overhauls, $150,000. Streetcar tie replacements, $248,000. Non-revenue vehicle replacements, $198,000. And streetcar rebuild phase 2 of $821,000. And then for facilities and construction, our major projects are the heavy maintenance, renovation, and reconstruction is budgeted at $9 million for this fiscal year. South substation transformer replacement at $150,000. Resiliency for the heavy maintenance building roof coating at $500,000. Streetcar station roofing for Ybor stations, $100,000. E-resilience, HART admin and streetcar facility roof coating at Ybor, $300,000. For technology projects, we have the CAD AVL ITS system and radio replacement project at $13,425,000. AV equipment, Ybor, Florida Room, and the Marion Transit Center at $350,000. Critical network infrastructure, edge routers, $80,000. Critical network infrastructure switches at $300,000. Critical network infrastructure phone system upgrade at $229,000. Project management software, eBuilder, $15,000. Laptop replacements at $145,000. And ERP tracking project at $14,400. For bus stops and shelters, construction of bus bay landing and shelter pads at $1.7 million. BTI engineering and design, $436,000. Shelters and amenities, $2.2 million. BTI merging bus stop technology, $1 million. For plannings and studies, transportation studies in general, $500,000. A&E contract for capital programs, $350,000. Lastly, we have the safety and security total. The safety, security surveillance systems on facilities, $150,000. And then general safety and security projects at $176,000, making up our 2024 capital project of $50,460,000. Are there any questions or comments for me?
No, wait.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Justin, thank you so much for the presentation, giving us an idea of what we can expect. I would like to go back to this is page 47 in our packet, but it's operating budget summary.
Okay.
The heading, it says fiscal year 22 actual compared to fiscal year 23 budget. Do you have the actual numbers?
The actual numbers for 23?
Right.
Well, we have a projection, right? So we take the actuals and we project it out for the remainder of the fiscal year.
And is that what this column?
That's what the fiscal year projections are, yeah.
So it's like our expected actual, right?
Yes.
Okay, so so based on what I guess I can assume is that the $6 million, almost $7 million will come from the salaries and wages. Most of it, 50% of it, salaries and wages, insurance costs, and fuel and oil. That represents about a little bit over, fast enough.
Are you talking about for the amount of savings?
It looks,
From fiscal year 23 to fiscal year 24?
Yeah.
So there's a lot of factors, right? Because you're looking at single entities, but it's all combined together, right?
right,
So, you know, some things have gone up in price and some things have gone down. Like, for example, we found out just yesterday that the healthcare insurance premium is going to go up an additional 1.2 million over what we anticipated it to be for 24. So things like that change all the time. We have to show a balanced budget. So, and that's the biggest part of this that I would highlight is that what we're using to balance our budget right now is that fund balance transfer to our reserves. You've heard the talk about the fiscal cliff for HART, right?
Right.
We have $18 million of federal funding that's coming, that's COVID relief money, right? So the idea this year is that we're gonna transfer that money to reserves and we'll really have to utilize that money next year to operate. That pushes off the fiscal cliff for a whole fiscal year. Without that, that grant, we would have a lot more serious conversations.
right, that's exactly where I was going. So when you say that, I look at that the operating costs are going I would say, what is this, going up? Total operating costs are going from 94,000, and then, actually 94 million to 114 million in 2023. But we're gonna drop that to 177 million. So I thought we were going to, provide more services in 24, but we will have less personnel in order to do that. So how do we explain that? Based on what I'm looking at here, because we go from 70 to 81 to 77, unless you're going to, as you said, take those funds and augment those for 24.
Are you looking at the totals?
Well, I'm looking at the fact that the 23 budget is 81 million. We're gonna drop our personnel costs down to 77 million.
So, okay, all right, so I don't know if you can see the slide that I'm on. The complete budget for 2023 was 114 million. All right, so we project that what we are actually going to spend in fiscal year 23 is 99 million. So we anticipated things were gonna cost more than what they did cost for this year. So maybe fuel, for example, at the beginning of the year when we budgeted for fuel, we budgeted at the current amount, and then fuel prices came back lower throughout the year, and so there's the savings. And so if you compare what we budgeted in 23, the 114 million, we're budgeting 107 million. We are budgeting basically on the current service that we have now, right? So as things get clear, maybe things in 2023, when we were going through the budget cycle, we anticipated costs go up, especially with all the talks about the inflation, and maybe it didn't hit us as hard as we anticipated it to hit us in 23.
Okay, so the 114 is not actually our run rate. We didn't normalize that. That's what we budgeted last year.
That's about
So what I'd like to see, or maybe you have this offline, is our comparison of fiscal year 24 against our fiscal year, or at least against our actual budget for 23. Because you're seeing, where's the 99 million coming from?
99 million is what we are actually projecting to receive and expend for this current fiscal year.
Okay, so what is the 114, maybe?
That was the budget number for fiscal year 23.
Okay, so if you could break that 99 million down offline and compare it to the fiscal year 24 budget?
So the projection for fiscal year 23, the salaries and wages, what we project to expend for salaries and wages is $49,882,187.
Oh,
We're
you don't have to do
budgeting-
that now. You can just give it to, just do it at a later time.
Okay.
Because I think I'm confused that it looks like we have, but we spent $114 million. We're on a run rate to spend $114 million, but we're going to $107 million. And how do we plan to do that if we're going to not have as many personnel in place when we're
I think there's
going from 81 million to 77?
seems like there's a confusion between budget and actuals, right? So in fiscal year 23, there's a budgeted amount, and then the 23 projections are what the actual amounts are, right? What we're actually spending.
Right.
So, for example, if we were budgeted for 300 operators for bus service, and throughout the year, we averaged 285, there would be less that was expended in the salaries budget versus what you had budgeted.
But that's what I like to see, the budgeted and the actual compared to 24. So,
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to see that difference, please.
The point you're looking at,
Yeah,
We can just take that as an action if you don't
Yeah,
mind.
absolutely.
But I do appreciate.
Yes, we'll take that note down.
Sure, I just can't see where we have the gap of $6 million and where it will hit us based on what we were budgeted for last year and what our actuals are for this year.
Okay.
Understood. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other
Thank you,
questions?
Justin, I appreciate what you put together for us, please. The questions are because you've done a great job, so it causes me to look even more so thank you very much.
I think if we had some time to spend and go over the sheet, I think I can make it a little clearer for you.
Thank you, I'm sure, thank you very much.
Any other questions?
You mentioned
Committee
roofing
chair-
for
oh.
Ebor.
Yes,
They're gonna take care of it.
hopefully.
Hopefully, sir, yes. Committee Chair, or Committee Member LeBou also has a question, Committee Chair.
All right.
Yeah, actually, it's not so much a question as it is an observation. I see that in reference to Ms. Williams' comments. I see that the insurance cost has decreased by 33%, or a projection of the cost. And then I also see the legal services decrease as a variable of 37%. And those are the items, and also the marketing and printing. So I can see how there is a difference of about 6 million based on the variances, correct? Is that what really much is based on? Then I guess I do have a minor question. You mentioned the 18 million COVID reserve. Is that going to be used at all, or is it just going for future budget expenses?
So, I mean, we budget it as revenue, but we do anticipate pretty much moving that same amount, or roughly that same amount, into the reserves. So it kind of depends on how you look at it, right? Because the way we receive money and the way we expend it is on different cycles, right? So sometimes you take it and use it, but at the end of the year, the projection is to move basically roughly that same amount over to our reserves. That makes more sense.
Sure. So that's the kind of money that it's not like use it or lose it?
It is. It's
It is.
COVID relief. It's a grant. So, yeah, we do have to use that money. Yeah, so we are actually billing it out for services that we do, and then we're moving money to reserves.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Any questions online? I have one question. I have one question for you. Hello? Hold on, don't leave yet.
Sorry. I already closed it.
The question is, how much did you budget for the vans? Budget the budget.
For Vance.
So we budget dollars. We don't budget amounts of vehicles. And I believe it was 1.6 million that's in the capital budget for vans. Let me flip to it real quick. You're quicker than I am.
Just happened to be on the page.
Yes, $1,657,500. I can tell you that we buy vans off of the TRIPS contract, and for the last 2 years, we didn't have a TRIPS contract. The prices have escalated for the vehicles greatly, like probably a 50% increase in the chassis of those vans.
Okay, the reason I had that question was, we've been using a lot of old vans lately.
So we only have 10 vans currently that are past their useful life. The way it works is, since we do utilize federal funding, we have to have useful life benchmarks of our vehicles. So for our vans, it's 5 years, 150,000 miles. Currently, we have 10 vans that are past their useful life. And by the end of this fiscal year, it'll probably be about 15 vans.
Is that
That's
good?
actually it's a really good percentage. When I first arrived here, all of our vans were well past their useful life. And right before the COVID, we replaced 54 vans, and then there was a second order of, I think, like 30 vans. And so we replaced most of our vans around that 2020. We were actually very fortunate to do so, because if we had to replace them, we wouldn't have been able to during the last 2 years. And like I said, now the price is a lot more.
Is they gonna include the Dynabot up on the dilly?
Didn't catch that.
I apologize, Committee Chair, what was that?
When you get the new van, I wanted to know where you're gonna replace the system in the van, the trip box.
The fare box?
Where the driver had to look at the look at the schedule. You know, about the driver, they had about,
of the GPS?
yeah.
Okay, he's asking if the upgraded vans will have an upgraded GPS in them.
That would be a question for operations. Operations and maintenance, they decide on the specifics on the vehicles.
Okay.
So, I can take that back to them and tell
Yeah.
them, but they do typically, when we order new vehicles, they go through the specs of the vehicles, the operation and maintenance departments, and, you know, pick out those items to make the ride better, to make it better for the driver, and something that, you know, hopefully is robust enough that, the maintenance department can maintain.
Okay, well, I thought about that. Okay, thank you.
We will follow up in the next meeting, Mr. Jenkins. Okay,
Marion?
we'll get you an answer.
Marion?
Any other questions?
Yes, I believe Committee Member Guazdala
Yes.
has a question.
Is there currently an electronic way to pay your fare? I heard there was, but nobody seems to know about it, on the paratransit van.
Committee
Like
Chair.
there's a Flamingo fare, is there such a thing on the HART Plus?
Yes,
can we
Mr. Guazdala, yes, there is a new app. We're getting ready to promote it, but the app actually has been released. It's not a HART app, but it's called Move It with the city of Tampa, I believe. It was made with them, and they are selling HART Plus, so you can buy individual rides or the booklet. So it's a smartphone app, and you can purchase it that way. We're getting ready with marketing. Since it's not our app, it's an outside app, we are getting ready with marketing to promote it on the vans and send communications to all our HART Plus users. But we know it's really exciting, especially for parents who have their children, and they say that children lost their money. So they're very excited and have been asking for that. So we are getting ready to promote that. And I can help you with that app, Mr. Guazdala, if you're interested.
Okay, yeah, okay.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Julie, you wanna do the maid? Go ahead.
Thank you, Chair. So next, we're going to, we have the proposed dates for meetings for fiscal year '24. For the FY '24 meeting dates, staff recommends keeping the schedule frequency to quarterly, with the meetings to be scheduled on the third Thursday of the month, which would be the following dates: November 26, 2023, February 15, 2024, May 16, 2024, and August 15, 2024. For the meeting, staff is proposing the start time of the ADA committee to change from 3 p.m. to 1 p.m. This change should allow us for better staffing coverage and participation to meet the needs and requests of the committee, as well as better physical quorum for actions. Are there any concerns, objections to the proposed schedule of third Thursday on a quarterly basis? And would you like to discuss also starting the meeting at 1 p.m.?
Marion, you mentioned November 26th? Is that what you said?
November 16.
Oh, 16th.
Yes, sir.
I don't know where I thought I heard 26th.
Maybe I said that.
I do have a question about that. You know, school start back again. Is it gonna be hard to get the people who ride the van here? To be able-
At that time, it might be a little easier to get the vans because our peak times, I believe, is towards the end of the day. So for those traveling in HART Plus, it might be a little, we're thinking it might be a little bit easier to get them in and out. And also for our quorum here, also thinking it's lunchtime. If everybody goes to lunch and maybe can make it straight to the meeting, we might have a little better time getting quorum. So those are some ideas that have been thrown out by some of the committee members. So we just wanted to open it, make that suggestion. For staffing, the coverage is a little easier as well at 1 p.m. So we just wanted to discuss that, see if that was okay with the committee, moving it to 1 p.m. and continue with a quarterly meeting.
Oh, my only concern with the motherfucker is, we're gonna get here on time.
Get here on time. Okay.
So, what do you guys wanna think?
I was just gonna ask, would you mind repeating the dates, please?
Yes. November 16, 2023, and the next dates are in 2024. It will be February 15, May 16, and August 15th.
And those are the third Thursday, right?
Yes, third Thursday of the month, yeah, and they're quarterly, so that would be like the same as we've been doing them. That wouldn't change, it's the same as we've been doing it all along.
So the only thing was changed would be the time. Correct? The only thing that we would change would be the time.
Yeah, what we're discussing, yes, is changing the time from 3 PM to 1 PM.
You want
I'm fine with it.
You want it?
Committee Member LeBou has a question.
Any consideration for it to be at 1:30 or?
That probably will be fine too. We were just trying to move it a little bit earlier, but it's up to the committee. If you guys want to move it to 1:30,
You wanna go around the room and see what we wanna think? Dig it? You good?
Oh, I'm good with the 1:30.
I can make arrangements for those dates, whether it's 1:30, or 3.
Thank you.
Yeah, LeBou? Good?
Yes, yes, sir.
so
One up? Okay.
will we need to vote?
Yes, if we could please have a motion to accept those dates for FY 2024 for the proposed schedule of the third Thursday in November, February, May, and August, with the meeting starting at 1:30 PM. If we could have a motion for
So
that.
moved.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank
Oh,
you.
that was my
wait.
first motion. Yay!
You did great. Committee Chair, may I take a roll call vote?
Yes.
Thank you so much. Committee Chair Jenkins?
Yes.
Committee Member Wazorek?
Yes.
Committee Member Levy?
Yes.
Committee Member LeBou?
Yes,
Committee Member Poncho?
Yes.
Committee Member Williams?
Yes.
The motion passes
Hey, what about
unanimously.
me?
And, oh, I apologize, and Committee Member
I made the
Guazdala.
motion, I get to vote too, right?
Yes, you do. I apologize. How would you like to vote, sir?
Yes.
Thank you so much for that. And then we will go ahead and send these meeting invites probably within the next month, just to go ahead and get them on everybody's calendar. Thank you so much.
We made it transportation infrastructure.
Yes, and that will be presented by Mr.
Mr.
Dwayne.
Brown, right? My buddy, come on up here.
Before the BTI report, we do have the chair's report, if you would like to say anything, Committee Chair.
I do that last.
You do that last?
Okay, no problem.
I'm a long talk. Come up, Ms. Brown. That's the man I want to see. Come on up here.
Good afternoon, Board, Mr. Chairman. I'm Dwayne Brown, I'm Project Manager with HART. I'm the Basic Transit Infrastructure Program Manager, and I will be giving you guys an update today on some of our projects that we have going. So we have a total of 62 projects that we've been working on over the past quarter. We had 2 completed projects. We have 2 projects that are in construction, 1 project in pre-construction, a couple of projects in permitting, a couple projects in design, and we have completed installing 52 shelters total. Of the 60, we have 69 shelters now. So we had 67 last, but I just got 2 shelters in, so 69 total. Here's we just completed this project at Tampa Bay Boulevard at Dale Mabry, was right across from Raymond James Stadium, right in front of the HCC. We extended that bus bay. We made it a little bit bigger. Now we get 2 buses into the bus bay that's there. So we completed that project. We completed the project over at off of 34th and Lake, where right at the traffic circle that's right there, we put in 2 new bus stops there. We're going to be putting in 2 new shelters as soon as the concrete break comes back, as soon as we get the correct PSI on the concrete to install the shelters. The projects that we have that's getting ready to go into construction are Falkenberg Road at MLK. We're having a slight issue with the MOT with the maintenance of traffic, but we're getting that squared away, and then that should be starting next week. And then Rolette Park at Mulberry, getting ready to do that project. That's gonna start in mid-September. And then the project that we have in pre-construction is Humphreys. We're just getting, everything together with our contractor there, and we just got back, our bid from the contractor, and we're getting ready to accept that and move on with that project. We have, two projects that are in permitting right now, so projects at, Columbus Drive and, Florida, and we have a project at Armenia and Waters. And those projects, they're in permitting. As soon as they come out of permitting, we'll be getting started, with those for construction. As funds are available. Project that we have in design, we have 21st Avenue at 43rd Street. That one is directly in front of our maintenance facility. We're gonna be expanding that so that currently the buses right now, it's a time point and the operators kind of switch there. And so we wanna try to move the buses off the road there in order to get them so that they don't block traffic right there in front of the maintenance facility. So we're gonna be doing a project to move that, to put a bus bay in right there. Right down the street from that is 21st at 40th Avenue, 40th Street. We're gonna be expanding that bus stop as well. And then Memorial at George Road, Memorial Highway at George Road. That one was done by a developer. The developer gave us funding to do that project, so we're getting that one started. So that one's in design. And one other one that recently went in, we're gonna be doing one down in South Tampa at Oklahoma, and it's off Oklahoma and Manhattan. That's what it is. We're gonna be doing a bus stop there. Oh, I apologize. The whole thing was off the whole time. Sorry. So those are the projects that we have in design. Currently, we have, again, I just recently got in 2 new shelters. So I have 69 total shelters of the new shelters, and then we've had 52 total installed. We're getting ready to install 2 new shelters at 34th and Lake as soon as the concrete break comes back, and then the projects what we have in construction at Falkenberg and MLK. A shelter is going to go there, and 2 new shelters are going to go in at Rolette Park and Mulberry Road. So they're going to be, that's a total of 7. And I have a whole bunch of other ones. So I have of the 17 shelters that I have remaining, they're all accounted for right now. And then we have 1 special shelter that we did for the Bucks, and you should see that one come up here. And then I think we're installing that one this week. It's a red shelter with the Bucks logo on it. We did it in partnership with them. So if y'all take a look at that, that should be pretty neat.
Where will that one be?
It's gonna be off of Himes, right in front of Buck Stadium. So at the West Transit Center, the West Tampa Transit Center, it's gonna be right out front there. All right.
Ready?
Any questions?
Yeah. Are you ready?
I hear you.
All right. The other day, I was over there at one of your shelters because I was on Boy Scout Boulevard by the International Mall. I was at the 15 and the 32, going toward downtown area. When I got there with dogs, and I'm looking for, who maintains those shelters? Because those shelters do not have a light at all.
Okay, and that's was it a shelter that had was it a shelter that had advertising at it, or was it a shelter that just was?
It's a green shelter.
Did it have an advertising? Did it have advertising on it, or was it just a shelter?
I don't know. I don't think it has everything on it. I think it is the shelter.
If it's just a shelter, then that would be our maintenance crew that does that. And you said that the solar lighting was out at that shelter? And Boy Scout and which road? What's the
Boy Scout and before you get to Del Mabry. Before you get to Del Mabry.
Before you get to Del Mabry.
Before you get to.
And right then next to the Stacy TV Zero.
I'll
and that's the plaza.
Okay.
Where all the restaurants are, the Teddy Deepest Hill and all the Cooper Hall and all those.
Okay, I'll take a look. I think I know which one you're talking about. I will take a look at it and see.
Because I got left by a bus.
Okay.
Because the bus didn't even see me.
Well,
And when he finally saw me, he was too far down from them. He come back up. So I'm not blaming the driver because he didn't see me. Somebody on the van must have told him that I was sitting there. That's why he thought. But once it get dark, I don't know if the driver can see you or not.
Okay.
But I had to wait on another bus, and I had to have somebody black it down.
All right. So what we will do is I will get with our maintenance guys to go out there and check the lighting to make sure that, and get it, and when it's not working, to make sure we get it working. The fix that we have to that problem, we understand that the shelters are old right now. That a lot of them are past their useful life, and they have a lot of issues that's with them. So that's the main reason why we were switching to the new shelters. And the fix what we have in the new shelters as a part of the new solar system and solar lighting system, we purchased a system it called SmartLink, and what it does is allows us to monitor all the shelters, all the new shelters that have the SmartLink system in them. It allows us to monitor them and see when the lighting is on and off, and see if something is happening. It allows us to do a whole bunch of different things within that shelter, so that we can make sure that we don't the system has 24 hours a day monitoring. Have a company that monitors for us, and if something happens with it, they tell us and they say, hey, you have an issue with your lighting system. It's not shining at this time. It's not doing this, not doing that, and that's our fix for it. Until we can get those old shelters swapped out, it could be some issues with the lighting, but we're trying to fix that. But again, we're gonna get that fixed to make sure that we have a safe bus stop.
You do know where Cooper Hall is, right?
Yes, I do know where Cop Hawk is. Yes, sir.
It is, when you right there when you pay Cooper Hall, right before you get to them area.
I know exactly what you're talking about. I know which one it is too. That shelter, as a matter of fact, it was supposed to be a blue shelter because the developer that built it's a Nationwide or something like that. There's an insurance company. They purchased that shelter and they wanted it to be blue, and they bought it for us and everything. And then we told them we was gonna put it there and it's gonna get hit, and it got hit. So they replaced it with a green one. But I understand. I know what you're talking about, and we can go out there and get that taken care of.
Yeah, it was a good thing you had two buses going down there, because I caught the other bus, which is 32. So I didn't want to wait another hour for the 15.
Yes, sir.
So that's a good thing.
Any more questions?
You only deal with shelters? You don't, not the regular stops, just the shelters?
I deal with all the stops, no matter what it is, because it's the bus stop. So just so that we're clear, a bus stop is a bus stop, regardless of if it has a shelter on it.
Right, I
or
wasn't
not.
sure though if you were responsible for anything but those with shelters.
No, I'm
So-
responsible for all the bus stops.
Okay, because I noticed y'all moved the 15th Street, 4th Ave
15th
to
Street.
16th,
Okay.
okay? Because 15th, it was really hard to know the delineation where the road was.
Oh, yes.
Right.
So what we did was, at that bus stop right there, there was, we moved it down a little bit, so that we can move it to a place that had a
defined
landing pad.
curb, yeah.
Had a landing pad, and we went to the city and we asked them, if they could take some of those parking spots, because there was a bunch of parking spots right there in front of the bus stop. And, the city obliged us, and they came and they took away like five parking spots.
Where
So
we-
a lot of bus stops, a lot of buses come in there and get that spot.
Wait, where are we talking about? I'm in the
4th
wrong.
and 15th, right out here for the Route 8, is that
Yeah.
correct? It's off of 4th Avenue
Yeah, but,
and
you
15th?
know, the stop got moved to 16th.
Yes, we moved it. We moved
Okay.
it from 15 to 16.
And I know it's a challenge in that area because of the fact that, you got stop signs here and there, but there's no stop sign at 16th, so
Yeah.
you kind of trusting that cars are gonna see you, and electric cars might, you might not hear, and
Yeah.
then the bus stops and people are swerving around the bus because it's only a 2-lane, and because there's no stop sign there, and
So
it gets a little bit hairy.
We have some issues in that area, because of because of how the street is. So our main issues, what we have with bus stops is really right of way, because we can only operate, I can only build in the right of way. Once we get past the right of way, that comes on the private property, and we can't take people's property. And we've had an issue with that, recently, where we accidentally built on somebody's property, and we had to go out and remove, a portion of our pad and correct it because we did that. But, we do our best and when we're planning and things like that. But that corridor right back out here where the 8 runs, it is very, very narrow. So the road comes out, and once you hit like the side of where they have the granite, curbs that are there, which I don't like, but that's a whole different story. But once you hit that granite curb, that starts where where people's, private property starts. And so it's kind of hard for us to get a really good bus stop there. So that's why we moved it. We kind of moved it from where it was in front of that tree with all those tree roots, and then we moved it down to where we had a sidewalk that connected up. So that was an elevated pad there. And so that we requested from the city to give us, I think it was 4 parking spots that's right there, so that we can get the bus in. So it'll be a dedicated, almost a bus bay for our bus to get in there, to get right up against that stop.
Okay.
Oh, I see I understand what you're talking about, the roadside parking. I was trying to figure out what you're talking
Yeah,
about, parking spots,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, they have
Okay,
roadside parking.
all right, yeah,
I
okay,
don't know if they was happy that we took those spots, but we took them.
all right.
All right, any other questions?
Sure. I have a two-part question, just to go back to what you experienced. You were at the bus stop, and I believe the bus passed, and then they weren't able to come back and get you. I was just wondering what the process was. You were already at the stop, and you had to wait for the other the next bus to come. Is that the process?
There's 2 buses that goes on the road. There's the 15 and the 32. Both of those buses go where I need to go alone. But the 15 is a lot closer to where I want to go. But that bus couldn't stop. He was already in the following. When he saw me, he already had passed, so he can't. It's a busy road. You can't make up. It's like a highway. So once you pass it, you can't make up. So I just wait. You gotta eat doctor. You ready? You think he's lying. I understand. Go ahead. Then the other bus came. I got on that bus. It took me a little longer to get ready to go, because I had to come off of Martin Luther King and Della Columbus Drive. It's a little bit farther. But if he would have saw me, I know he would have stopped.
Right, I understand it was an error, not an intentional error, but when that happens, do we radio or call someone, or is there something else we do, or is it just customary that, not until you said that, did I visualize, oh, you just have to wait for the next bus?
Well, that bus only runs every hour.
Well, no,
I mean,
normally,
we are the makers of the guidelines, so I'm just asking if that's the process. And I'm asking myself, basically, as a representative of HART.
No.
So it's rhetorical. I'll just take that as a
no,
note.
normally if that would have been the last bus, I would have called Yellow Cam. See, but I normally take a bus, but I wasn't feeling well that day, and I didn't want to wait that long to go home. So I called and canceled my rides. They got the bus to go home, but I wasn't feeling well that day. So I didn't want to be around people that wasn't feeling well. So I called the band and canceled. Then the bus stop right there. I get on the bus and go home. but in dogs, there's no like, it is also a safety issue because you don't know what might happen and no people waiting on the bus. They can get robbed, they can get, but there's no like.
That's the root cause of the problem. But in the event that something like that happens, it was just a real visual for me to see that. You just wait until the next, or do we, I mean, what other options do we have?
Because
But-
you can't call dispatch and say, can you man the van like, okay, you already canceled. So, you know, you have to do what you can do. Once you cancel that ride, it's on you to get home the best way you can. So you got yellow cab or you did the bus.
If you're using HART Plus. From the call center perspective, we do get some of those calls sometimes where maybe there's a tree blocking, or it might be a new operator or a new stop. So we have had some situations like that, and typically if it's a situation like Mr. Jenkins experienced, we, from the call center, we do call the control center and give the next operator a heads up. Hey, like, there might be an obstruction, please make sure you pick up that customer. But it is, with the frequencies we have, somebody gets there a little bit late, they miss that route, and then sometimes it ends up being a long route, and it is.
Thank you. I just took it as a mental note. And then the last question I had was in regards to the bus stop changes and updates. Is it possible that, at least for this committee, that maybe we could put maybe 5 minutes on the agenda to talk about changes, especially for this audience, for any type of stops, changes, or things, because it's important from my standpoint, as you were talking about the shelters, actually when changes are made, and our new board member, committee member asked a good question about 15th Street to 16th Street, and it was just top of mind, but if we had some type of systematic or some type of regular conversation about that, maybe 5 or 10 minutes.
Well,
And
it's
this,
supposed to be, before you move a bus stop, I believe you're supposed to put it on all the buses.
Yes, sir, so that's a function of our service planning.
Right,
Group, and they do markups every, I think they have a markup coming up, I think sometime
Sunday?
soon here.
Sunday.
Sunday, that they are the ones who plan out where to move. They tell me it's gonna move, and then I move it.
right, but my request is centered around, for this board, this committee, that there is a conversation with the folks at this committee, because they have a reach, and they need to know specifically because of the American with Disabilities Act. So I think it's more important to have a conversation for this audience.
Director Williams, we will add that as a report onto the agenda. Thank you so much.
Is there any other questions? Any questions online? Hearing none, thank you, Ms. Wood.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So we're gonna move to Ms. Swing report and another line last.
Thank you, Mr. Jenkins. I have the HART Plus and the Yellow Cab report. In the month of July 23, HART Plus provided 12,835 paratransit trips with an on-time performance for pickup window of 82% and 96% for meeting the appointment times. On average, our weekday trip count is 537. Our average for Saturdays is 211, and on Sundays, we're doing on average 174 trips. We currently have 6 new operators that will be graduating training on August 18th. For Yellow Cab for the month of July, they performed 2,571 trips, with 102 of these that were wheelchair users. To date, Yellow Cab has delivered more than 406,000 trips, and penalties were imposed to Yellow Cab for 3.23% of those trips that were late. Any questions on that report?
You're saying 3.23% of the trips were late?
Yes, sir.
That means more than 30 minutes?
I think they stepped out. I believe, I don't quite remember, I don't know why I'm drawing a blank, but it might be, there's a different cost for 15 minutes they pay one fee, and if it's more than 30, they pay another fee. I can bring the exact numbers for the next meeting, but there's two separate costs depending on the amount of time that they were.
The
Like-
better, the better.
But if they, yeah, they were just here, but I guess they stepped out. But they do, they're just like HART Plus, so they do have that same timeline that we have. But I can get you more details, Mr. Guazdala, in the next meeting. I'm just not remembering right now.
And how is that measured? Do they report themselves, or is there an objective way of measuring that?
They do the reporting, so they do, partially it's self-reporting. When they turn in every month they turn in the bill of the amount of trips they're done and the information on the trips. We also every month do a percentage of callbacks, so we call a different random number of customers per month, and we do a survey on if there's any complaints or any situations that are going on as well.
Good?
And
Oh,
I had one more, sorry.
go ahead.
Two reports. The next is follow-up items from our last meeting. There was a copy of this in your packet, so I'm not going through the entire thing, but I did want to provide a summary in case there's any questions from the committee. The first one, Mr. Duane and Mr. Guazdala were already speaking about it, so I will skip what, there was that stop at 19th and 15th. That was the first one. There was also brought up by one of our committee members if there were any stats in regards to yellow cab, riding with service animals, and I
Any
believe
You know what?
Ms. Pancho, I believe, was asking if there were any stats available of a number of customers riding with service animals. And we don't really have a stat or keep a stat about that, but Yellow Cab did report that they reached out to you, Ms. Pancho, they didn't? Okay, they did tell us that they reported back to you, so I will definitely follow up with them. But from the HART side, we do receive through the call center all the complaints regarding to Yellow Cab, so I did do a search on that. We didn't have any complaints regarding service animals in Yellow Cab for this year. We did receive a couple of complaints on 2019, 2020, and 22, but we didn't have any complaints this year regarding Yellow Cab and service animals. I remember when we first started the service, there were a few complaints, and there was some additional training they provided to drivers. So we were thinking also, I think you had brought up that some customers have brought up that situation. And like I mentioned last meeting, we were thinking, since we started recently in the last few months to send some additional HART Plus trips to Yellow Cab, we did find out when we were reaching out to customers that many of them were bringing out items that they brought up when they first started to use Yellow Cab, and they stopped using Yellow Cab for those reasons. But I didn't have anything documented for this year regarding service animals. And let me see, a couple of the other items that were, yes, yes, Mr. Guazdala. Yes.
Okay, just want the people who are online to be able to hear me. One of the, do you have access to, oh, thank you. I probably should just get closer. I'm not mic shy. Do you have access to their files that they have about us? I mean, could you ask them to send certain files to you so you could look at them? The reason I ask is because I was at Amtrak, I forget, a few months ago, and I called in for a cab and was asked, will you be taking your service animal with you? My concern is that I'm flagged as having a service animal, and therefore, is a dispatcher saying, does anybody in, this zone want to pick up someone with a dog? Which is going to give a big no response. So am I flagged as having a service animal is my question, and if I am, does that somehow impact how long it takes for me to get a ride?
Well, from the HART Plus side, and I'm kind of seeing it, I see what you're saying. and
I'm
we
not
could-
I'm talking about yellow.
Yeah, I was just gonna, I'm trying to make sense of it
Okay.
from the HART Plus side. We do, for example, in HART Plus, when we're booking a trip, we would ask you if you're traveling with your service animal, with companions, and with guests, so we can we can assess the size of the vehicle or how many people can ride at one time. So that is a question that we would typically ask, and typically Yellow Cab would ask similar questions. But I mean, if there's a certain complaint that you want me to look into, I can check on it, but again, I'm equating it to Heart Plus. I know our call center reps do ask those questions because when we schedule the vans, we need to know how many people can ride together in one van. So typically, Yellow Cab would have a similar process since there are contractors, they would have a similar process to ours.
Are they a shared ride as well?
Yes, they
Yellow
are
Cab
shared
is?
ride. They have chosen a lot of times to try to do it not shared, but they do, they are eligible to do shared ride as well. Ms. LeBeau?
Yeah, I'm wondering if a better question would be, are you riding with a companion versus specifically a service animal?
And we do ask both questions, again, because a companion would take an additional seat. A service animal might, we might need not be able to fill up the van that much, and I'm kind of like saying it in the wrong terms possibly. But we would ask those questions because we need to know, like they would need to know as well, so they can, if they need to do a shared ride, they might not be able to do a shared ride in a cab. If they already have somebody traveling with a service animal, they might not be able to do a shared ride with another person. So,
Let me help you out, Mr. Green.
okay, yes, thank you, Mr.
I-
Jenkins.
I'm just trying to understand, I'm sorry, am I stepping on someone?
Yeah, let me help you out, Marion. By law, you have a service animal. He goes everywhere you go, everywhere. He's your hand, he's your feet, he's your eyes. So when you call Yellow Cab, you get on a big pair of buttons and hold up. Now there's only 2 seats in the van, in the back, and the other one is a wheelchair. So you got a wheelchair in the back, there's 2 seats, and the seats fold up. So where the animal gonna go? That's why they asked that question. Where are you gonna put the service animal in the van? So when you call Yellow, you need to be very clear that I have a service animal. And that way they won't put somebody else in the van with you. Because you don't do that, they got a limited time to pick up all these pickups that Hotline is giving them, plus other cars that's coming in all day long. All their vans are minivans. You got some things that fold up, and you got some things that doesn't fold up. So, I don't know how you gonna get around that. So they have to ask that question. They're gonna always ask, well, do you have a companion, or do you have a service animal? That way they can send the correct van to you. But again, be mindful that all the Yellow Cab vans are very mini vans. They're not like hot big buses. They are minivans who have 2 seats in the back, 2 seats in the front, and the wheelchair goes in the middle. Did that help you out, Ms. Green?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Jenkins. You said it a lot better than I said it. Thank you.
If I can make a comment, I didn't realize that Yellow Cab actually would be considered as a share ride. So when the concern was brought to me that there's a possibility that patrons who have service animals may not be as quickly or readily picked up as other patrons, that was where the concern that I had.
Sure.
And that an individual might be flagged. And then in turn, people just say, oh, well, I'm not gonna pick up that patron, I know that they have a service animal, I don't want any dog hair in my car. So that's just the basic foundational concern that has been presented to me, and that's initially why I asked for some statistics.
Yeah, and we're more than happy to look at, if we have more information, a date, a customer name, like definitely, we've done investigations and gotten information from them. Just in general, we have to ask those questions because we need to know, they would probably need to know what type of vehicle. And again, I'm not saying it's not, anything has or has not happened. It's just, in general, we have to ask those questions to know how many people will be traveling. And that was a great example that Mr. Jenkins just gave of if there's a wheelchair and a person with a service animal, they have minivans, so it might be tighter, they might need to send a different type of vehicle. But definitely, if there's specific instances, feel free, as you guys do, to reach out to me directly, and I can enter a case. And we follow just like with a Heart Plus or a heart complaint in general, we have the same rules with them. They have so many days to give us information, provide, we've asked for recordings before and different information to investigate what the situation is. Ms. LeBeau?
Yeah, as support, can we address this again? Maybe I can look into other jurisdictions and for consistency and implementation of the ADA.
Sure.
Because
Yeah.
it becomes challenging.
Yes.
I mean, I'm not to compare an animal with a child, but, you know, and a child can be a screaming child as a passenger. I don't think that riders are asked, you know, specifics about it, and it is a concern. I mean, it's relative to people with disabilities signing up for special needs shelter. There's a hesitance because they feel like they're going to be put in a list, and the idea of the ADA is to be inclusive. And so I think that if you can please include this in the agenda for the next meeting, I'll be
Sure.
happy to report back.
Sure,
as
and
to my
that's-
findings.
Yeah, we would love that too. And just another thing to add, at least from the paratransit portion, and it is a question that's asked across, at least in the transit agencies. A lot of times we'll ask if somebody has a wheelchair, if somebody's with a walker, because that adds a little additional time. The computer knows that if it's somebody ambulatory, they might board a little quicker than if it's somebody with a wheelchair, maybe somebody, with different mobility devices. So different questions are asked mainly for us to know, the vehicle type or how many people we can put in the vehicle or how long it will take to get to the destination and how we can do that. But definitely, we can set that up in the agenda and maybe have somebody that works within that area give us a little nicer explanation of how they do it.
Maybe
And-
you could get Ms. Brandon to come back up here in that meeting.
Who?
Brandon?
Oh, yes, yes, yeah, and we can ask Mr. Brendan from Yellow Cab to come as well and explain their process.
I heard he's not with them anymore.
I'm sorry?
I heard he's not with them anymore.
No, he is, and he was just here. I don't know if they had
Oh,
to step
okay.
out. They were here for the first portion of the meeting.
But and really, I just can't imagine a situation in which the presence of the service animal is gonna make an impact on the number of passengers a van can take.
I did too.
I just don't, I just can't imagine. I'll tell you, I was in Louisville and we called for a cab. There were three of us with three service dogs, three guide dogs. He wasn't gonna take us, but we all got into his vehicle. It was just a sedan, three people, three guide dogs, so we fit.
Yeah, two guide dogs.
Three
Three
people,
guide
three
dogs
guide
in
dogs
a minivan?
in a car. So,
Well, then.
on the floor.
They're lucky.
all the dogs
Yeah,
were on the
lucky
floor.
they
So
did.
anyway, I'd like to look at that some more because
Sure.
every time I'm asked that question, I'm like, I'll answer it, but I don't like answering it because I don't see the relevance in it.
I understand it. We'll definitely add that to our next agenda.
And then let's not forget that these drivers are independent contractors. So they're working for themselves. Even though they have a yellow cab lane, they're working for themselves. So if they don't want to pick you up, they have the right to not pick you up.
So, like I said, I was just providing a summary. The full report is there in the agenda, and feel free to reach to me if you have additional questions. Mr. Chair, I think we skipped your report. Did you?
Yeah, I won't be long. I know you got to get out of here. But I wanted to go back to the maintenance part of these vehicles. These vehicles are on the roads. Our vehicles are being, they're very old, they're outdated. The dining box on the van need to be updated, our iPads to help these drivers get these people on time. 99%, what I believe is the people get picked up late because the machine not working. When the machine not working, they have to go do paper. Then they gotta look at the address, they gotta log it in. And then a lot of these vans are breaking down. I was on the van the other day when the battery on the van is coming out the sides. Every time the driver drops the van, the battery comes out. So you gotta get out of the van and go out the side and push it back in. And you called for another van and they told her to do the best she could because there's no other vans. So what are you gonna do when you're on the highway and and the battery comes out? How are you gonna pull over on the side and put the battery back in when there's cars flying on the other side of the van? So we gotta look up on the driver as well. And then you got the van with the brakes leaking, the AC leaking all over the passenger. I mean, and then you're either leaking or it's not working at all. The locks on the side that keep the bag in is broken off. Back in the day when we first started this program, the driver walks around the van before he leaves the yard. If there's something wrong with the van, it does not go out. But now, it go out of the van and, you get to deal with it. Do what you can. Go out and get the people. You're putting people life in danger. Can't be doing that. Then the driver get agitated and takes it out on the passenger when the passenger asks him, why you late? And then you know, when I got all these niggas like that, this is, we don't want to hear, we don't need to hear about what you got. We got a bad day too. We already late too. It's not only you, it's the passenger. Then the people that ride the vans, well, why do you take him first and my driver's right there? These drivers should be able. I know right now they have to follow what's on the screen, but I am on the van with a person who's going to the Embassy Suites Hotel. You can see the hotel from the window. Hotel right there. You want to go all the way down the street to Dawson miles off and then come back. What difference does that make? It does not make any sense at all. All you gotta do is make a left. Make a right and go right there. And then turn the way you go. That way nobody won't be arguing at the drivers. Give these drivers some more leeway to do their job. Because the scheduler is not behind the wheel. The driver is. So the driver has more out, more knowledgeable of where these people are going. But now you gotta follow up what the thing is. I'm looking at the hotel from the window. And I said, I was just let Doc to go. I said, let's go ahead and take it. I don't care. I don't have to get out nothing. Just take it with you go. So luckily the lady took her and everybody was happy. To mitigate all these arguments and complaints about why you're late, about why you're going here, about where you're going here, give these drivers some opportunity to do the schedule the way it should be done. As long as they get in the time of where they need to go. 99%, that's why they're late, because they gotta go out the way they thought this was long, because the computer said they had to go first. And then on the trolley, who made the trolley? Trolley doesn't have any AC. I was on 2 trolleys. There's no AC in both of them.
Okay.
It's hot as the Dickens, I guess. and I'm going to a meeting, and I don't wanna call the van, because the trolley's a lot quicker, from Evo to, Shannon downtown. Just hop on the trolley and go where you need to go. But there's no AC, and I need to make sure that all the lamps on the trolley need to be greased up. The locks that unlock the trolley lamps need to be greased up. I mean, I don't know what is HART mechanic doing. But in my eyes, they're not doing very much. So we need to get these mechanics who's here to get paid to maintain these vehicles where you keep these vehicles on the road safely. You got the brake breaking out, you got the AC going out, the battery, they keep the van coming out of the van. I'm like, wow. So we need to get a hold of maintenance, and basically they doing their job, because I know they are not. And did batch. I was at a friend's house the other day, and it's raining outside. I can't go outside because there's no shelter. The driver pulls up, he goes out, and he's a lot of cars that I understand they can't get the van in. He goes up and he called dispatch and asked them to call me outside. When they waited 15 minutes before they called me. Because when they called me, I went out the door. I go out the door, the man's gone. Where the man? I called, they said, well, he been there 15 minutes. I was like, oh, how the hell he been there 15 minutes? And he did good. He just called me on the phone. He been there 15 minutes. It is 9:30 at night. I'm like, you need to send the band back to come and get him, because that is not gonna fly. So he came back and he said it wasn't my fault. It wasn't his fault. Dispatch on the phone not doing their job as well. Because you called me and said the van that is, I'm coming right out the door. I mean, I know you got other people on the van. I know you got other people pick up, but when you call me, I'm coming out the door. But don't wait 15 minutes and then decide to call me. Swung down, man. I had to go back inside, all wet again. And wait on the van to come back. I'm just saying. I know we got, it's good to hear about the budget, it's good to hear about all the others, but let's get down to the nitty gritty. Let's get these vans corrected, let's get these vans on the roads, because you got people's lives in danger. I mean, this committee is not to be complaining. I'm not a complaining committee. We're here to help you guys do your job. But we can help you do your job if you don't listen. That's my little soapbox.
Thank you, Mr.
So,
Jenkins.
so committee chair, just as a follow-up, you would like a follow-up on the maintenance of the vans? And I have listed here, the breaking down, the batteries, being bad, the GPS being bad, the wheelchair bands, brakes squeaking, AC leaking, such so. So we'll
Yeah.
follow up with the maintenance on those. And then also allowing the drivers to maybe deviate from the, GPS and/or the, schedule outlined, from the scheduler who does not necessarily operate the vehicles. And then calling you before the 15-minute pickup, allotted time is over, calling you prior to that so that the van does not leave, because you can't wait in the elements.
When the driver pulls up and asks you to call me because he can't get the van no closer,
Yes, sir.
don't
Understand.
wait 15 minutes and then call me.
Yes, sir,
because-
understand. So we will add all of those as requests for follow-up at the next meeting as well.
Thank you. Is there anything else? Anybody else? Old business?
Your next item would actually be a roundtable discussion, committee chair.
Okay. Anything with discussion?
I believe Committee Member LeBou had something for roundtable.
Yeah, just an experience from today's weather. Is it possible to have these bags at the main entrance? Because I was concerned that I was dripping water all over the floor. We have them
Sure.
up here on this floor, but maybe another one downstairs would be very helpful.
We
Thank
will
you.
work, yeah, we will work with the facility maintenance staff to get that. Thank you so much.
That's an easy one. Thank you.
Anybody else?
I do. Thank you. I actually just wanted to let you all know that on behalf of the people at McDonald Training Center, we had two concerns that were brought to heart. One on the Rio Street stop and one on the Cypress, and both were addressed very quickly. So just wanted to let you know that and say thank you.
Thank you.
Mary, are you good? You good?
I'm good. I'm glad to be a part of this, and I am especially happy to be a part of it because Gloria and I were colleagues for like a long time, 37 years. And I remember one time I was talking to her and I said, you know more about public transportation than anybody has a right to know. And so I'm glad to be here and serving in a similar capacity as Gloria did, so.
Thank you, Mary.
Thanks. Good to be here.
Mary,
welcome.
Mary, can you do me a favor? When you give us they have a question or a comment, so I can recognize you, can you raise your hand so I don't want to skip you? Because you just can't cut in when somebody talking. So you can just,
Raise your hand. He's asking if you can raise your hand so he knows that you want to talk.
Oh, okay.
To be
Because-
recognized.
Yeah.
Okay,
So he
okay.
can call everybody in order.
I see, okay, all right. I'm used to saying my name to be recognized. That's the way most of my colleagues do it, so, okay, I'll do that.
yeah, I know. I had to get used to it too.
Most blind people don't see the hands going up, and I hang around them quite a bit, so.
It helped me help you. There you go. There you go.
Marion,
Any,
I have a question for Marion. Would it be helpful for you if we say our names before we speak?
It would be,
Okay.
until, especially at the beginning until I get to know who everybody is.
Okay, so that would be helpful for us just during
Yeah.
these meetings when we begin, just to announce who we are.
Right.
Okay. I also have a few things I wanted to address. Is that okay?
all right.
Okay. I wanted to ask about the travel trainers. Years back, we did have a couple of individuals that were travel trainers, and I wanted to know if there was an update, if those positions were going to be filled again, or if they were eliminated.
No, one of them is going to be filled. We are just, I don't know if you've seen our job opening. Right now, there's, I'm just guessing, but there's like 15 to 20 jobs listed in the job. So, and we have limited resources with HR. So it is online. It should be listed hopefully in the next couple of months. I'm hoping sooner. But we are going to start recruiting for a bilingual travel trainer. That definitely is a program that we'd love to have, and we work really closely with the community. So we are looking at rehiring for that.
Okay.
And the folks that had them got promotions. One left and one got a promotion. So that's why they're vacant.
Yeah, I wanted to emphasize how important that role
Yes.
is, especially for this population, because it can help individuals to be able to use the, regular bus system, but then also it just helps more people to have access. So I just want to make sure that those
No, thank
positions
you,
are
yes.
incredibly important
Yes,
and
thank you
filled
very much.
quickly. I also wanted to ask, in this packet, the meeting notes, these were from February. Do we have the meeting notes? Were they approved for the most recent meeting as well?
So I apologize, you were supposed to be approving the ones from May, not from February.
Okay, do we need to revote since we just approved the wrong
The
notes, or
one,
do we?
well, the vote was for the May meeting minutes, so would you guys like to reapprove them at the following meeting since they weren't included in the packet? Or I can send them out afterwards for any possible corrections, and we can let the motion stand if that works for the committee?
I would like to review the minutes from the last meeting.
Okay, so we will add those minutes to the following meeting for approval as well, and ensure that the correct minutes are attached.
Thank
So
you.
that'll
Thank
be-
you for bringing
that'll
that
be two voting in the next meeting, right?
Yeah.
What was that? I'm sorry.
There'll be two voting in the next meeting.
Yes, yes. And I had one last thing. This was due to the weather today as well. I know I was running a little bit late, but I was in my vehicle beforehand and I wanted to join virtually. So I went to the website to try to pull the YouTube link up and that wasn't working. And so I'm just curious how the public is able to engage in these types of meetings if they're not here in person.
So, Committee Chair, if I may. So, in an effort to keep our WebEx relatively clean and free of noise and make the meeting more efficient, what we do is we only send the WebEx link to the committee members and any meeting participants such as internal staff or additional vendors who need to speak at the meeting. The public can view it via YouTube, and anybody who wants to participate, such as providing public comment, because that is the only way for the public to participate in these meetings is through public comment. They can pre-register. They will get a phone number to connect to for the public comment portion, and then they will be disconnected to follow along with YouTube. In addition, people can always send in their comments previous to the meeting and or after the meeting for anything to be shared with the committee. If we ever receive anything for the committee, of course, we are just the facilitators of information, and we make sure that we send that out. But to keep the WebEx and the meeting, because the WebEx is just the physical board, or the virtual, I apologize, the virtual boardroom to kind of replace this one. So that is how that works.
I've
So you should've-
participated in a hybrid
Yes.
format before, and I've been on remote. I think what I was more concerned about was that I'm on the actual website right now, when I clicked on the YouTube link, and it said something went wrong, an unexpected error. So I'm not sure how many community members were actually
Sure.
able to see today's, or be part of today's meeting.
I appreciate you bringing that up, and we will make sure that that link is working for future meetings, of course. Yeah, we will work with you on that offline, because my understanding is that it is working. So we'll
Good,
work with
okay.
you to make sure that you know which is the correct link and make sure it's working on your phone, because maybe there's an issue or something.
Thank you
okay?
so much.
Thank
I
you.
appreciate that.
Okay, now you go open. Any old business? No? Any new business? No new business? All right. The meeting is now adjourned.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
Okay, we can
Thank
all
you, everybody.
leave now.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
ladies and gentlemen,
Thank
for
you,
your
everyone.
time and your patience.
Oh, anybody need a parking validation?
Thanks for using WebEx. Visit our website at www.webex.com.